Thank you for tuning in to VNA News. You're watching the bulletins. Coming up next, we have your top stories. Chairman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Sinh Hùng attends Hà Tĩnh Provincial Party Congress. Vice President Nguyễn Thị Doan meets with Vice Chairman of the Lao National Assembly. ASEAN Ministerial Meeting focuses on sustainable development. Politburo member and chairman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Sinh Hùng has called for enhanced efforts by Hà Tĩnh Provincial Party officials to accelerate local development at their two-day party congress for the 2015 to 2020 tenure.
A political report at the opening session of the Hà Tĩnh Provincial 18th Party Congress reads that the Central Province made breakthroughs and gained a facelift between 2010 and 2015, with an average economic growth rate of nearly 20%, higher than the 17th Congress target of over 14%. The industrial sector is considered a highlight in the local economy, as the province now houses 2 economic zones, 19 industrial and handicraft parks and clusters, along with 426 domestic and foreign investor projects, with a total registered capital of nearly $1.8 billion. In his address, National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng said those achievements created a firm foundation for Hà Tĩnh stronger development in the years ahead. He agreed with the orientation of faster and more sustainable development towards modern industry and international integration, as set by the 18th Provincial Party Congress, suggesting the locality focused on industrializing agricultural and services sectors.
Vice State President Nguyễn Thị Doan has asked the Lao Legislative Body to back adjustments to certain laws supporting Vietnamese investors during her ongoing visit to Laos. Speaking at a meeting with Vice Chairman of the Lao National Assembly Saysomphone Phongvihanh in Vientiane on October 16th, Vice President Doan also urged the Lao Legislative Body to create favorable conditions for the Vietnamese community to apply for Laos citizenship and permanent resident permits. She spoke highly of the role that the Lao National Assembly plays in the country's construction, development and law building. At the meeting, the two sides agreed on the need to continue exchanging high-ranking delegations and strengthening collaboration between the two national assemblies in supervising and creating favorable legal conditions for joint projects. Also on October 16th, Vice President Doan laid a wreath at the Monument of Unknown Martyrs in Vientiane. She then visited the School for Gifted and Ethnic Minority Students and a vocational training center for women with disabilities. On October 17th, the Vice President had a meeting with Governor of Vientiane Province, Vidong Sayason. She then attended a meeting with overseas Vietnamese in Laos at the Embassy of Vietnam. General Đỗ Bá Tị, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, held talks with his Lao counterpart, Lieutenant General Suvorn Lungbunmi, in Hanoi on October 17th.
At the talks, the Vietnamese and Lao high-ranking military officers discussed affiliation between two general staffs and shared issues, as well as the implementation of cooperation programs between two countries' armies. General Tị welcomed the current working visit to Vietnam by the Lao high-ranking military delegation led by Lieutenant General Suvorn Lungbunmi, saying it would have fostered traditional friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation between the two countries and armies. During his stay, Lieutenant General Suvorn Lungbunmi is scheduled to attend ceremonies marking the 70th founding anniversary of Military Region 2, 4 and 5 and present the Lao government's order to the military units.
The 9th ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication commenced in Vientiane, Laos on October 17th under the theme Public, Private and People Partnerships for Post-2015 Sustainable Development in ASEAN. More in the following.
In his opening speech, Lao Prime Minister Thongsin Thamavong underlined that cooperation in rural development and poverty elimination in ASEAN member states has resulted in a number of outstanding achievements. He described this time's biennial meeting as an important forum for the bloc's members to boost mutual understanding and share valuable experience in rural development and poverty reduction, thus strengthening the ties within ASEAN. Addressing the event, ASEAN Secretary General Lê Lương Minh noted the rate of low-income earners in the region dropped dramatically over the past decade. Currently, with only 1 in every 8 people has a daily income of under $1. He attributed this outcome to the sustainable development policies that attach importance to the partnership among all social elements. At the event, the Vietnamese delegation, led by Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Lê Quốc Doanh, exchanged the country's experience in the public-private partnership in agriculture, rural development, and poverty eradication. It also shared lessons drawn from the ongoing implementation of the multidimensional poverty measurement method, which assesses poverty in terms of income and access to medical, clean water, and educational services.
The flow of foreign direct investment from the European Union into Vietnam is recovering this year after a downtrend since 2011. Our reporters with more details. A report released by the Foreign Investment Agency pointed out that the EU's total investment in Vietnam in the first half of this year reached $600 million, nearly the same as in the entire 2013 and even higher than in the whole 2014. Now 23 EU nations have invested in Vietnam, with the number of existing projects at 1,688 and total investment capital at $21 billion. The biggest investors include the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, France, Luxembourg and Germany, which account for 82% of the total FDI. The EU's investment is mainly concentrated in large cities such as Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, as well as provinces and cities with oil and gas resources or large industrial zones, including Bình Dương, Đồng Nai, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu, and Da Nang, in addition to Hải Phòng, Khánh Hòa, and Hải Dương. Large amounts of FDI were invested in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. Regarding the investment sectors, the EU investors mainly put their money into the processing and manufacturing sector, with 573 projects and a total investment of $6.29 billion. Their other major investment sectors have included the power production and the real estate sectors. The central coastal provinces of Phú Yên and Bình Định have tremendous resources for tourism development, but are facing challenges in tapping these potentials. We sought some answers to this.
Unexploited natural landscapes and sea resources, along with unique Cham-style architecture, are among Phú Yên top tourist attractions. However, the province is failing to make full use of these resources.
Currently, Phú Yên is lagging far behind in terms of tourism development as compared with vicinities such as Khánh Hòa and Bình Thuận. We are at the starting point of promoting tourism with poor infrastructure and a tight budget for building tourism products.
Contiguous to Phú Yên from the north, Bình Định province is experiencing the same story. Plenty of tourism resources and attractive destinations have not been properly tapped. Local authorities are considering turning tourism into an important economic sector, along with industry and agriculture.
We are planning to section off coastal areas with huge potential for tourism development, but harmonizing the need for tourism development and the interests of local residents remains a tough balance.
Building tourism products and trademarks beside big names such as Hội An, Nha Trang and Phan Thiết remains a headache for the two provinces.
The number of tourists to Phú Yên has grown, but is still very modest compared to some of its neighbors. Since most coastal provinces have already taken advantage of their sea tourism, it is difficult for Phú Yên to develop products of its own.
However, tourism organizers are optimistic that falling one step behind other provinces with similarities in the region is an opportunity for Phú Yên to draw on the experience of others and avoid developing overlapping tourism products.
Phú Yên has gained the idea cliff of stone plates, a rare stunning natural spot, and its people are very friendly. The province should improve its public relations.
Each locality has its own beauty, which should be differentiated from others to lure tourists. Phú Yên has unique by choice singing, and it should be promoted.
Provinces in the south and central region have all determined to raise tourism proportion in their economic structure. On that basis, hopes for Bình Định and Phú Yên to become attractive destinations are sparkling.
There was a time not so long ago when tuồng singing was a popular genre. This art was familiar to those from both cities and rural areas. But to date, the art is facing the risk of falling into oblivion like other traditional art forms. Tuồng singing, otherwise known as Vietnamese classical opera, is the country's oldest performance art. It originated from China, but over time found its own form and shape, and became one of the most prominent genres in Vietnam in the 17th and 18th centuries. Tuồng performances usually tell historical stories or legends, highlighted by actors in colorful and elaborate makeup and costumes. Over the last few days, a series of tuồng performances took place in the central city of Da Nang within the framework of the National Tuồng Singing Festival dedicated to those who share a passion for the art. Out of the 20 performing troops, 16 are small and amateur clubs formed by farmers who have fell in love with tuồng singing. Their dedication in the event brought new faces to the audiences. At a time when classical opera is slowly fading away, these newly established clubs are rekindling the meaningful tradition.
It is an incredibly difficult task to bring new audiences to tuồng singing. More importantly, we hope that the government will create favorable conditions to us to overcome other challenges.
As the spotlight gradually dims on tuồng singing stages, professional art troupes across the country are pulling out all the stops to bring audiences back to the theater. In Da Nang, the Khánh Hòa and Nguyễn Hiển Dĩnh Tuồng theaters have begun hosting street shows to appeal to a wider range of people. However, these efforts seem to make little change because salaries for tuồng actors are decreasing just as fast as the number of audiences.
To get the public to see tuồng performances, officials should show their interest in the arts themselves. It is not enough to just say that tuồng is a national treasure in need of preserving. They need to attend these shows and be a role model for the people.
Professor Trương also considers tuồng a scholarly art form, requiring a certain level of knowledge from its audiences. He argues that if the public is taught more about the art, it may become more approachable for them.
One of our goals is to introduce tuồng singing to the education sector as part of a curriculum, and then we need to expand the public awareness by conducting street performances. Moreover, we need to rely on the media to promote the cultural and traditional values of tuồng.
A theatrical art form requires audiences, As such, to preserve and uphold the value of tuồng singing, the entire community will need to come together to understand and respect the century-lasting tradition and culture it represents. And that was the end of our news bulletin. Thank you for your attention. For more information, you can log on to our website at www.vietnamplus.vn. We'll see you soon.